When it comes to songs and sex, there is one repeat offender whose lewd lyrics led to an entire file of transgressions. Whether he was cleaning windows or playing his little ukulele, this cheeky chappie from the north fell foul of the BBC's Dance Music Policy Committee on countless occasions. In at number 1 on our list of Britain's most dangerous songs is George Formby with...
Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin.
When the BBC began with Lord Reith and the setting up of the organisation, they very much took the moral high ground, that it wasn't just there to entertain, it was there to educate. It also had a moral purpose in sort of shaping the nation.
The BBC realised it had to have some sort of censorship, and so the Dance Music Policy Committee would consider songs that were going to be heard over the airwaves, either live or on gramophone record, and decide whether they were suitable for broadcast or not. George Formby was one of the biggest performers of the 1930s, and his whole act was based on saucy innuendo. He was doing it over and over and over again, so he was certainly a repeat offender, and a repeat offender several times in one song.
I'm leaning on the lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady comes by. Oh me, oh my, I hope the little lady comes by.
There's a case for saying that George Formby was Britain's first pop star, really. He was the Robbie Williams, maybe, of his day. It became quintessentially kind of English in its attitude to sex, which is both fascinated and embarrassed by it, you know.
Growing up in Blackpool, we were always really fascinated by George Formby, and he was treated as a joke figure at times when I was growing up in the 70s, but as years gone by, people respect him a lot more. He's actually a really brilliant musician, and when he plays, you know, he's a really good player, and the songs are really funny as well, and clever.
With me little ukulele in my hand, of course the people do not understand. Some say, why don't you be a...
Formby's clever double entendre proved a little too risque for the BBC, and his song, With My Little Ukulele in My Hand, was the first to be withdrawn from the BBC playlist, until he changed the title to My Ukulele.
Thank you. And now I'm going to sing a song, and they're going to make a film of it at the same time, so if you see any flashing, don't take any notice, you see.
But he was soon at it again with My Little Stick of Blackpool Rock.
One afternoon the band conductor up on the stand somehow lost his baton, it flew out of his hand. So I jumped in his place and then conducted the band with my little stick of Blackpool Rock.
This time it wasn't just the title, but whole verses that deeply offended the committee.
Blackpool Rock, we're being led inevitably to one phallic kind of conclusion here, aren't we? So that it's extraordinary that it's extraordinary that perhaps he just thought after the ukulele, oh, sod it, I'll make the most explicit thing. And of course there's Blackpool in there, there's the seaside and there's a postcard. And I guess at that point he's playing to his public as well.
A girl while bathing clung to me, I shouted out, oh. She said, I think I'm drowning and you'll save me, I know. I said, well, if you're drowning, do you mind letting go of my little stick of Blackpool Rock?
George Formby always has a giggle in the voice. And in a way, that's why he gets away with it, because it's very tongue-in-cheek. He's not being graphically pervy. He's actually just, oh, come on, it's a giggle.
Lord Reith of the BBC was brought into this, the Director General, and his view was, OK, George Formby does this sort of thing in the cinema, and people can pay and go and see him do these songs, and that's fine. But radio, as it was then, is for everyone, and is coming into everybody's homes, and therefore you don't know who's going to listen to it, and so we can't have these songs on air.
I had my photo taken once, it cost 1 and 3. I said when it was done, is that supposed to be me? You probably mucked it up, the only thing I can see is my little stick of Blackpool Rock.
This is the national programme from London.
The BBC at that time was certainly saw itself as a moral guardian against what they called the rhythms of the jungle, or more unedifying aspects of culture. So I think What was going on there was almost censorship of working class expression and popular music.
The two most popular film stars in England overall in the 30s were George Formby and Gracie Fields. But they came from north of the line. It was a northern humour, it was a music hall humour, it wasn't southern variety. It wasn't a comfortable night out in the West End, which is where the BBC positioned itself.
Well, I guess they thought George Formby was singing the Latin names of plants, that'd be okay. But they probably think, well, he must be up to something. You know what these Normans are like, they're always trying to get one over you.
It's a particularly interesting example of censorship in a way, that it's class, it's a form of entertainment that was thought to be beyond the pale from the point of view of middle-class audiences, and it's not in the consensus. It's too kind of subversive, the music hall.
They're as conflicted, I think, the establishment about this issue as they are about sex. They're a very well-meaning group of people, I think, who want to be liberal and progressive, but at the same time, something in them kind of balks a bit at Formby and his little stick of Blackpool rock.
It may be sticky, but I'll never complain. It's nice to have a nibble at it now and again. Every day, wherever I stray, the kids all round